in conflict, they're problematic. We badly need to make sense out of our land use. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let me start that over again. Okay. Two major problems I can comment on. One is our current land use maps, our land use designations, our zoning codes are frequently in conflict with each other. This is unacceptable. This puts us all at risk for lawsuits. It confuses the process and drives everyone crazy. So we need to be able to stop. We need to go back and fix all that. Second problem, our process, how we're handling it, what came out in the Marine thing is I feel sorry for the neighborhood and I feel sorry for the developer, okay? Because the process is so flawed and so confusing and so uncertain and explosive because it blows up at times. This is no way to run a business. Our community development, our whole code process needs to be rethought and made into a clear process and an open and transparent process. Until we do that, we're going to continue to have messes like this last one. Thank you.
Okay, let me look through my list. We covered some of the questions I wanted to ask you. Is there reluctance by the City Council to put real pressure on city workers to fulfill their responsibilities?
Well, let me answer that in two ways. Answer number one is we are not supposed to put any pressure on any city employee by charter, okay? The pressure we can put on is on the city manager, and it's his responsibility to put pressure on employees, okay? Now I'm going to answer that question in light of that. I don't think that we as a council, me included, have given a sufficiently strong message to the city manager that he needs to be about accountability. Right now, the city manager is focusing, and I understand where he's coming from, he's focusing on building morale among the employees, not on building responsibility and commitment to city goals and processes. I think we as a council need to get on his tail and advise him in the strongest possible way that we need responsible city employees. Most of them are, but there are a group that aren't.
Would you care to make some comments on the finance department as their work is being conducted under Greg Casella and the new finance director? Do you think the work has been adequate in the finance department?
I'm going to give you a sad answer. I'm going to give you two answers. One, it's a difficult question for me to answer because I don't know enough about it. Because the curtain has once again closed, it's difficult to find it. Getting information out of there is hard. Number two, I've seen sufficient errors recently coming out of there. The few times the times we get information from them, a number of the pieces of information have been flawed. There's a continuing problem there. And I've been told 7 ways come Sunday that everything's getting better, but every time I begin to believe that, another shoe drops. So we had the gasoline debacle. We had the YMCA numbers were wrong. It just goes on and on.
Do you think the flawed information is intentional, or is it just inefficiency?
I don't believe any of it's intentional. That's not intentional. I think the information there's something wrong with either the training or the coordination. Something's wrong over there. I can't put my finger on it because it's like a black box. I can't see what's inside of it. They kind of isolate themselves.
In some of the issues that have come up, and I'm not going to list them all, but there was the contract, the toll service contract, the money not brought in, an advertising company that wasn't paying for a franchise fees for the year. It seemed to me that in a lot of those cases it was just a matter of the tickler files were not in place. Is that prevalent? Is that a common problem in city government? No tickler files?
Well, let's put it this way. It is common in poorly operating city governments. But I would say the failure for follow-up, which ticklers are made for, is a real problem in Port Orange. We really need to establish two things, and they're both favorites of yours. One is simply a tickler that we know where to look, and that has been a problem. And the second one is an inspections function. We need to assure ourselves that our staff is doing what they say they're doing. And those, I can't picture a modern city enterprise not having both of those functions strongly supported. And, at this point I can say I don't feel good about either.
How would these inspections be carried out? Would they be carried out by the city manager or some other facet of city government?
I would like to have someone attached to this. There's two models. Okay, one is to attach it to the city manager's office, or the other is to establish a separate independent office of inspections. It could be a controller. It could be a whole bunch of different ways that would report directly to council, as does the city manager and the city attorney. I know several governments where they have an outside independent inspector that reports directly to the legislative body, and that would be my preference.
Okay, I'd like to ask you your comments. Well, let me pose it as questions. Do you see it viable that there will ever be a city park in Riverwalk?
Yes. Someday there will be a city park in Riverwalk. And there should already be a city park in Riverwalk. I have a very different vision than the city manager or some of the city council. My view is build a park and the rest will come, okay? And let's build a affordable park. And we can add amenities over the years as monies become available. But let's get started. And I believe this year we're going to start on the north end. Okay, we're going to start on that. My concern is we are focusing on things we can't control, and we're building a park around business plans that I don't even know are real. So, yes, I think we're going to see the beginnings of the park. We're going to see it up on the north end where the old trailer court was, north to the city limits. Within a year or so, we'll see the beginning of a park there. Further south is going to be a little more difficult because there's so many decisions standing in the way of what we're doing there. But yes, there's going to be a park there, and I see that park, which I'm going to jump ahead to one of your other questions, as the beginning of a renaissance for the entire Ridgewood corridor. And what we're talking about is urban trails. See, I have a vantage. All they're caring about is big high-rises. I don't like high-rises, but nothing I can do about it because they've been permitted already by a previous council. But what I wanted to see up there was nice little shops, a walkway. You could go down there, you could stop and have breakfast on the river. It's beautiful. In the evening, if you wanted to go down there for a light repast, you could have a little wine bar, you could have all this. I mean, I wanted to see this as a destination for the local community.